DevOps Shorts, DevOps Shorts, the show to listen to when your DevOps hurts. And even when you're going strong, it's short and sweet, so come along. Hello, folks, and welcome to DevOps Shorts, the show where we invite wonderful human beings to have a short talk about DevOps and other mythical creatures. It's lightning fast. It's only 15 minutes, and we're focused on asking only 3 questions. Why? Well, because if there's one thing we know, it's that great delivery comes in small batches, right? And I'm totally excited that my guest today is none other but Patrick Debois himself, the original inventor of the DevOps portmanteau and the original organizer of the DevOps Days, and of course, one of the co-authors of the DevOps Handbook. And today, he is also the DevOps Relations Director at SNCC. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
Hello, nice to see you. It's a pleasure to be on your show. So keep up the good work.
Wonderful. I love having you. And without further ado, we'll jump straight on our first question. And the question is, why, Patrick, do you love information technology? You see, you've invested quite a period of your life into working on IT, into thinking about IT, about how to make IT better. So I suppose you love it for some reason. Why?
That's a very good question. I think it is this is like the hobby that went to be a profession. I guess when I was a kid, my dad bought his first typing machine and went from typing machine to more electronic typing machine and machine with a memory, and then we had our own first computer for him to do like his calculations as a doctor. So I guess like as a kid, that was really like interesting for me to see this new technology, this new stuff. And I think since then, it has never left. It has changed over time of what my interest was. But I think what I learned from that is that the technology is something that interests me more probably from an engineering point of view, like how the pieces fit together, even though there's not much outside IT I really like pulling apart. It's like computers and like programs that I like. And then the second thing that my father taught me was that it was useful use, right? I don't like to do technology for the technology. I think the real reward I usually get from being in IT is the reward when you see somebody like, this is really useful. Has really helped me achieve a goal or solve a problem that I have or make my life easier. So I think that there's one reward, and sometimes I retreat myself in a little corner and I pick the technology apart, and I'm like deep down, and I probably, like my kids say, like that is here, but it's not here. Like he's exploring technology. And then there's the other part, like once I kind of figured out like how these pieces fit in, when I work on a use case or a specific customer or project, then the customers start saying, yes, this is what we need, this is what we need. And this discovery process is just so exciting. I'm not sure if I can kind of explain that to somebody who isn't in IT, this excitement. But for me, it's almost like you go to a movie, right? You see the startup of the movie, you kind of set the stage, and then there's this whodunit, like all the pieces fit together, and then in the end, there's the big reward. You take away the love of your life or something like that, and kind of that like climax going up. And I've explored different fields, so for me, kind of always finding a new domain and a new expertise to develop is something that is a constant in my life. It doesn't make it easier by the years because you're always like trying to learn new stuff, but I think that's what the excitement brings to me. And by that, I know more than what I don't know, and I just keep like probably I'll end up in more than 10 years saying like I know nothing, like the famous quote from Hello Hello, and then yeah, it's still I will have a good feeling of the value that I brought with it. So that's kind of where it takes. It's both technology and humans, but given my relationship with DevOps, that might have been clear from this drawing. So
there's a plot there, and then if we're successful, there's a happy end, right?
well, it's not always a happy end, right? I had like problems and projects explode in a big way, and that it didn't work out, or the team didn't work out. So that's part of the game. But you keep trying to write your better plot, your better code, your better solutions. But I
Hit
think
it gong, Patrick.
yeah, all right. Gong, gong, gong.
Yeah, thank you for that. And we'll go straight to our next question. So the next question is, well, this is about something that you, as one of the co-authors of the DevOps Handbook, helped define, and that's the DevOps aha moment. That moment when you realize that things as they used to work in IT suck, but there is a better way, and that way is something that you've decided to call DevOps. So what was that moment for you? When did this occur?
Well, I think the polite answer would be when I started first experimenting with things like agile development. I've always been with my legs in two worlds, like ops and dev. Like I did early Java server, like servlet reloading. I could it, and then I loved it because Java could run anywhere, and that excitement to actually get better at our jobs, applying these like containers virtualization, but also working together with the people. But I wouldn't myself call that the aha moment of DevOps. Yes, it's kind of the aha moment of putting the pieces together and looking at the similarities and seeing that there are similarities. But the real aha moment is actually when we're like a couple of years in after DevOps days or DevOps, and then people start sending me emails saying, you changed my job, you changed my career. And not just because they got better paid because it was a new hype or stuff like that, but because they were landing in places where the collaboration actually lifted them almost like a human being, and that they had a conversation and that they were taken into account. I think that moment when you receive your first email from somebody like that's when it sinks in and say like, okay, this is for me. The ultimate reward is that somebody gets that and gets better from it. And there's definitely a lot of talk about organizations getting better, teams getting better, but I think I still centered around the human individual getting better out of it. And yes, the side effect is obviously that the other things are better, but some would probably argue that it's the other way around. But I think that is my aha moment, is helping people and seeing them get more fun in their life, work, doing less tedious jobs, having harder problems from them to work on. Obviously, the discussion of being fired by automation is a sad thing, so that's kind of a low aha moment. But still, I think on the overall, we just got better as an industry of doing that. But yeah, it's. I think where we wrote the book or we did the events, like the open spaces, it's much more that people, become open and they discuss things, and there's this valuable connection that they have with the word DevOps. I think we're past that point, that DevOps has been defined as technology and faster and more robust deploys. But for me, it's actually part of it. It has been like Agile. It wasn't about TDD. It was more about the collaboration and the people working together and getting a better feeling of that we're doing a good job. Because especially in operations, we didn't get a lot of pats on the back. And now we're kind of part of the team that makes success, and that is like really been rewarding for me to kind of bring that into DevOps with a lot of people. Like, I didn't invent it, so don't give me that credit. I hate when people say that. I usually say that I've been enthusiastic about it from the beginning, and then I like did a lot of like promotion around it because I really believe in that aspect. But the invention is probably also like a evolvement of just social kind of behavior, like the similar waves on, no central authority, no kind of saying who we are, what we need to do, let people decide for themselves. Although, these days we might take that too far, but that's it.
And we've hit the gun. A lot of things I'd love to, continue asking, but we have the format. So let's stick to the format and go straight to our next question, which is about something that I love, especially because I like calling myself a software delivery futurist. Yeah, a bit pompous, but that's how I am. Anyway, what do you think the future is going to bring to IT in general, to DevOps specifically, to us as human beings?
Yeah, it's people. That's one of the first things people always ask, like, where do you see DevOps go, or where do you see IT go? And I think I usually have the image of the glass ball from the magician who says like, well, I know I can see the future. It's like stupid. So I usually say I have a certain hope what kind of my future will look like, but it is nowhere representative for what the future will be, because per definition it is kind of wrong. I think part of what the excitement and learnings for me is that we're still kind of discovering where kind of technology and humans work together. And of course, automation has been one of those things. They made things easier, but now things go back to the human. And I don't believe in the buzzwords, not even the term per se, DevOps as such, as a word these days, but the fact that computers are more and more assisting us to kind of help us get better at our jobs. But then at the same time, we don't want to take the blind faith that they will solve all our problems. So this kind of interaction between those two worlds is, I think, an interesting aspect with, the completely opposite. AI ops, everything's kind of like, some would say like automated ourselves out of the jobs. I think that will never happen, but those kind of interactions where technology keeps more assisting people while coding, while doing stuff, while making decisions. And we've only scratched the surface there, in my opinion. And then the second part is, again, a personal one. Like, I believe more of the text and user interfaces, and given with the virtual times, it's something to investigate for me personally, is that, again, what does it mean to be virtual more and more? I'm not per se talking 3D spaces or like all that, but like, again, how does this help us get better? Is it by collaborating closer, from remote, kind of sharing more, getting more pair of eyes on problems, things that were harder in the past. We kind of were shaken into it a little bit from collaborating from remote, but that kind of mass collaboration from remote, and whether we saw that in open source in a way, whether that's solving me tweeting on Twitter, figuring out like getting responses and feedback, but take that to a next level scale, is kind of two things that I find excited for the future. But you'll probably never hear me say like use A or tool B or whatever for the future. But those are things that make me excited. Like the little person that my dad taught is kind of like, these are new paradigms that I want to explore. And for me, everything that's kind of has a new ring or a new study field, that's my future. Whether that's everybody's future, we don't know. But that's kind of where I'm going with this future of IT. But rest assured, the old will never die. So that's also a comfort thing. Even if people call DevOps new things, or they kind of change the meaning, the fact that we have still memes running from 1950s, nothing ever dies on the internet, but all of a sudden it becomes hot again, whether that's decentral, central, decentral, central, virtual, non-virtual. And that's what you get when you have gray hairs. The levels of excitement is just becoming deja vu sometimes. But still, finding new places to explore is is kind of what makes me think there. So
Wonderful. And we're actually out of time. No time for blitz questions. You've been very, very talkative, but in a good way. I really like listening to you. It was exciting, and
it's the wise energy that does it to me.
Yeah, probably my shirt too. Wonderful. Thank you for coming, Patrick. As usual, I'd love to ask you more questions, but we don't have enough time, and that's the whole idea. I hope to see you again in person one of these days when all this craziness is over.
Let's do that, and I love that.
Short and sweet. Thank you for listening, and watch out for new episodes of DevOps Shorts.